right, ready?
I'm fucking ready, dude.
We're fucking ready. All right. Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacob Livingood. This is my YouTube channel. I'm an internet entrepreneur, growing, developing, grinding in front of you. This is my second podcast. We've got Gabriel on the podcast here. You've seen him on the channel a couple of times. He won the Xbox giveaway. We did a podcast like 8 months ago going over some stuff. It's still up. You can check it out if you'd like. But today, I wanted to dive a little deeper into successful things, not just habits, but like mindset, different things you're going to experience in the process of growing and developing because and I've talked about this several times, entrepreneurship got cool, and the problem is on social media, you've got all these people that look legit, right? They got the lifestyle, they got the luxuries, but some of them aren't legit, most of them aren't legit, and they designed their page purposely to show you only the results and not show you the actual process of growth and development, which I personally think is a more important topic because there's a larger audience that's not as successful as they would otherwise like to be. So
Gary Vee even talks about that with like one of his biggest fears is like the fact that so many people are going to be in the next decade are going to be like doing entrepreneurship, and a lot of them are going to fall out and like get super depressed because of it. Because at one point he recommended something that like is going to cause that person to get depressed or suicidal.
Yeah, and it might not be the path for them, and they just choose to go down that path because entrepreneurship's cool, and then they fail because they're not an entrepreneur at heart, right?
Right.
So we do have a couple of things laid out here as far as conversational things. Let's just start into it with limiting beliefs and opinions.
All right.
So the last podcast we did was mostly discussing an experience that I dealt with where one of my best friends of 7 years sat me down with his mom for an intervention to stop pursuing entrepreneurship. And since that happened, after I posted that podcast, I had a lot other friends, like I literally, this has happened 8 times now, 8+ times, where someone sat me down and said, you need to stop working this hard. Hey, like you're not like living your best self. You're not having fun. You're not enjoying this. And I'm like, I don't know if you know that for sure. But
right.
A lot of people are going to share their opinions. What do you think about people's opinions?
I hate them. Unless they're like valuable and like from Jeff Bezos or something, then I'll value it.
I think opinions are like assholes. They all stink and everybody's got them.
Yeah.
And so here's
some
the thing.
of them stink.
some of them stink. Here's the thing about opinions, okay?
Not that I've eaten ass or anything. All
right, so look. When someone's sharing their opinion with you, don't discredit it immediately, right? And you'll have some value on this as well. Here's the way I like to look at it, and a lot of successful people, including Gary, talk about this, is if the person that's giving you this perspective not only is not a practitioner of what they're trying to give you guidance on, but they don't have the results you're looking for, that's not a person of authority in the field that they're trying to give guidance on. And most of the time, I can't say this 100% factually accurate, but most of the time, those people sharing these limiting beliefs with you, like, for example, someone says, hey, you cannot be an internet entrepreneur. You can't do that. They're not telling you that you can't do it, even though that's what it sounds like, because that's the exact words that came out of their mouth. They're really projecting their own limiting beliefs onto you, telling you that, hey, I can't do that. So I don't think you should be able to do it because I am under my own personal belief that I can't accomplish that. So what do you think about that?
I agree wholeheartedly. It's basically they're just a giant. What is that called? Those things that like the PE coaches to use?
A whistleblower?
Like no, yeah, the giant microphone.
Oh yeah, a megaphone.
Whatever. Yeah, they're just basically they're essentially just yelling out what they in their head think, like their own thoughts.
Correct. And I've also dealt with people like saying, hey, you're greedy because I'm going after money, and that's just that goes to show their perspective on money. Those are the same people that think money's the root of all evil, which is just that statement just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's all right.
Yeah, so, not only that, with their own projections, what people don't realize is that when you're around other people that aren't trying to do it, if they if they can get you to back down from your position, the paradigm that you're operating in, and start operating in their paradigm, it reinforces their paradigm and it makes them feel better.
Correct.
Which is where that's why humans are so naturally afraid of change, because change causes us to jump into a new paradigm, which is uncomfortable.
Yes, and another thing to touch on what you just said, when you are growing, evolving, adapting, and leveling up and changing your identity, right? Because that's really what happens as you go through entrepreneurship. It is a lifestyle change, and you are going to start thinking differently, moving differently, acting differently. Right. You're actually, these people that are close to you in your life, you are impacting their reality, because by you changing and growing and evolving, they have to change how they correlate and relate to you. And they don't like that, because a lot of people, like you said, are afraid of change. So their defensive mechanism for that is, hey, let's get this guy to stop pursuing his dreams. Also, another thing I want to touch on, when someone, for example, the example I'll use, my dad, when I dropped out of college, he told me I'll never amount to anything without a college degree. I absolutely, if I wanted to, I could get offended by that. I could be hurt, and I could go, oh, Dad, screw you, blah, 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 blah. But I don't, because I know and I understand the perspective that he's not, by saying that, my dad is not saying that he doesn't believe in me. He's really trying to look out for my best interest, but he's looking out for my best interest from his perspective of what a best interest is, right? He thinks that the path, the one and only true path, is college, get a mortgage, get a family, blah, 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 go down that path. And that's not the path that everyone's going to do.
Which may have been true for his generation.
Yes, no, absolutely. And times have just changed. And so really you need to, when someone, especially someone that's your parent, someone very close to you, says this limiting belief, you don't want to disrespect them and say like, you know what, you're just telling me your limiting beliefs, and I'm just not going to listen to that. I'm going to do it anyways. You want to go about it obviously in a more cordial, respectful way. But also at the same time, you don't want to let their negative limiting belief impact your own belief, because ultimately at the end of the day, what really matters is what you say about yourself, not what other people say about you. But that's limiting
beliefs. It's tough, man. It's tough. The fact that your dad said that, I salute you for staying on the path, because it's not easy, man.
I 100% use it as motivation.
One of the things that fires – go ahead.
I use it as motivation to push harder.
Yeah. For me, one of the things is like, the love languages. One of my love languages is like words of affirmation, like encouragement, essentially.
Yep.
And like, there's nothing that fires me up more than when I have other people believing in me. And when people have that disbelief in me, it hurts. Like it's hard to not let it affect you.
Yes, because it's kind of like, wow, this person like that knows me and sees what I'm doing, they don't think that I've got it, and I know I've got it, right? So I feel you there. And ultimately so much of this comes down to mindset, because like that same exact situation, two separate people with different mentalities, that could ruin someone, but it could also make someone go harder. Like and nothing about the situation that occurred is different except for their mentality and how they choose to perceive the situation. Exactly. No one situation is good or bad. It only is good or bad based on the definition that you define it as in your own mind. Right. All right. Next, I can already tell based on all the things we have written down, we're gonna be pressed for time to stay under that 30 minutes. 100%. Cool. But all right. So I want to talk on that. That's limiting beliefs and opinions and projecting. I want to talk on successful habits because look. So I've been in full-time.
Are you tied for that 30 minutes, by the way? Because I can go over it.
Have to go, that's cool. we can go over. I just, for audience retention time and people watching, I want to keep it to where it's consumable.
Gotcha. Okay.
But so 2 years ago, so I started full-time entrepreneurship in July of 2018. So about 2 years ago from now was when I was really ramping up. I was getting my licensing and I was just getting prepared to do everything. But if someone had come back from the future, from now, to tell me then that, hey, you're going to be reading regularly. You love reading. It's one of your favorite pastimes. You're going to be journaling and planning your days regularly. You're going to be doing regular exercises consistently because that's what's going to help and grow your success. I would literally say, no, you truly have the wrong guy, right? That's not me. But as I've grown and developed in my process, it has become my norm. Like if I didn't journal every day and plan my day, I would feel like something was off. I would literally feel like what's going on? I'm in a funk today because I don't have words in a literal book that I write down and then check off. That's a normal thing for me now. And that's not something that's normal for a lot of people. But I personally think it has a lot of value. What do you do as far as like consistency and successful habits that you've seen that have impacted your life positively?
So one of the things that I've been trying to implement in my own life, I don't use a physical notebook. I use my computer, like a lot of software.
Mm-hmm.
So I use Google Keep I'll use Google Keep to kind of keep track of like my to-dos. And I'm in the process right now of actually reading a book by David Allen, who he's the author. I think it's called Get Things Done, or I think that's his website, getthingsdone.com, the GTD method. It's an entire it's difficult at first, obviously, but it's an entire outline of like how real successful people actually plan their days to make sure that they keep up with everything. Like the 4 pillars, how Tai Lopez says, health, wealth, love, and happiness. Make sure you have the 4 things in line.
Yes.
And yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I don't really journal, although I know it would be beneficial because one of the hardest things for me is to like go over my known information, just because I'm so obsessed with like gathering. And like my personality type, I just love reading new things.
As an ENTP, that is like having that structure like that is not really what comes naturally to you, right? You're more of
not at all. Yeah,
you're
not
more
at
of
all.
On the whim.
And also,
I'm gonna
by
do
the way,
this,
I don't know if I told you, I'm actually not an like according to the new system that I'm using by Dave Superpowers, the Objective Personality System. I'm an ESF.
ESFP. Okay, you're sensing. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Tight. All right. So that's planning. That's successful habits right there. There was quite a bit of value in there for people to take. The next 2, they do go hand in hand, but they also kind of don't. Talking about self-doubt and then haters right after that. The reason why I'm saying they kind of go hand in hand, it goes back to the limiting beliefs and projections. If someone's hating on you and you choose to put value on that perspective, then that's going to manifest in your own life as self-doubt. But if you choose to not view that perspective with value, then that won't be something. Now, obviously, choosing to, Gary Vee says it as practicing not giving a fuck about other people's opinions, which is a skill.
Right.
And so that's obviously something you have to work up to in your mentality. But also ultimately at the end of the day, it's really not hard to forge that mentality. Just know that, be confident in yourself and knowing that you are an expert in what you're doing. And if you're not, you're more well off than you were a year, 2 years, 3 years ago.
Right.
How do you personally deal with self-doubt when it rears its head? Because guys that are watching this, self-doubt, once you conquer it, it's not like you conquer it, it's gone forever. You're never going to have to deal with it again. You could be absolutely killing it. It's a Wednesday afternoon. You're just grinding, go. And then all of a sudden you get hit with a negative thought and you do a poor job at filtering that out. And now you're stuck in a downward spiral for the next couple hours, if not the rest of the day, because you fail to get yourself out of that negative headspace. How do you cut the loop there and kill it?
So there's 2 trains of thought that come up for that. One is the fact that when self-doubt occurs and I fall into another one of my I call them pits because you just fall into like another, it's basically a depressive episode in psychological terms.
Yeah.
When I fall into another one of my depressive episodes, it's a really, really, really good time for reflection and like introspection and figuring out, is the things that I'm doing actually things that I want to be doing? Is the path that I'm headed down the right path? Because some people get stuck where they're too focused on the day-to-day and they don't realize where they're going. And then they arrive where they're going and they realize, fuck, I climbed up the wrong ladder. Now I'm fucking 40 and I have to jump off this ladder and start climbing up another ladder. So really, really good for introspection. And the other thing that comes up for me is the fact that like when you're going down, fuck, I lost it, dude. I had it.
Bro, what I got from the first thing you said was don't get too stuck in the micro and but also don't get too stuck in the macro. You have to have a blend of both so that you can actually hold the consistency in moving
That's the positive the positive side of the depression / self-doubt that comes up. Now the other side of it is the negative side of it. So for like when I fall into my depressive episodes, recently I'm just now coming out of the last one that I fell into for the last 2 months or so, and I noticed that this time it got shorter than the first time that I had fallen into that rut. And you have to develop some sort of a support system, and it has to be people that remember we talked about people that believe in you and haters in the beginning or a while ago. Mm-hmm. You have to have people in your circle, in your tight circle, that actually believe in you and that will bring you they'll ground you back into reality when you've gotten too far gone in your own head. Because that's kind of what happens as entrepreneurs. We spend a lot of time alone, and I actually posted a quote on Facebook the other day that I didn't get it from anybody. It just kind of came to me randomly. The fact that trying to solve your own issues is like having nine tabs open on your web browser and trying to read all of them at the same time. It's hard for us to like look at our own issues objectively when we're dealing with the issues, which is why you need to have that external source repeat back the things that you say so that you can hear from another person's mouth, and then you know, wow, that sounds illogical. I'm not. Yeah, fuck that. Did I say that? All right, no, I'm not believing into that.
That makes perfect sense. And you touched on depression there. We were going to go into it a little later, but now is the perfect time to dive into it. Right. For the audience watching, you need to understand that being in a depressed mindset, that's okay. It is totally okay to have those emotions because you're ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all humans. Okay, it's going to happen. You're going to be in a negative headspace sometimes. It's really how you deal with it. Okay, so you actually have to process those emotions instead of just letting them fester and continually like getting more and more toxic behavior and toxic emotions.
Right.
And if you don't actually deal with that, it's only going to continue to get worse. And so like depression's something that everybody deals with. It's not some like thing that just only a few certain people have. It's a mentality and a mind state that comes up. It rears its head, just like self-doubt occasionally. Right. Also, for entrepreneurs or people that are wanting to be entrepreneurs, right, you're going to want to have habits in place that you're consistently moving forward and doing every day. But guess what? Okay, even when you've got the consistency, there's going to be days. I know it. You know it. I know this happens. Where you're not gonna do anything at all. You will get nothing accomplished. If maybe you'll get less than nothing accomplished, you'll actually digress that day, right? That's okay too, because it happens. And the key is with that, right? If that happens, you go to bed, you check off that day, you know, whatever, it's a L. Don't be worrying about that and like looking back on that the next day, because all that's gonna do for you is carry on that negativity from the previous day into the next day. And now your work ethic and your consistency for that day is taking like bad stuff because of how yesterday was, and you're stuck living in the past and reminiscing on that. Right. You have a losing day, whatever. It's in the past, write it off. You got a whole nother, the next day is a whole new opportunity to go out and
do you have a specific routine to like kind of wipe your brain? So
every single morning when I get up, I will not touch my phone in the first hour of the day. You're really not supposed to touch it in the first hour or the last hour. It fucks with your brain as you go through and go into your sleep cycle. So I will not touch my phone. I grab a cup of coffee. I take a cold shower before I leave my room. Cold, because cold showers, you're priming your mind to really just know that you're in control and that you're just gonna win, right? So you take that cold shower.
You sounded identical with Jocko Willings right now.
What?
Jocko Willings says the exact same thing. Or sorry, not Jocko Willings. David Goggins. He talks about like, what you just said, where you're forcing your brain, because your mind's going to try to force you to do the more comfortable thing. But if you tell your brain that this is what we're fucking doing, then at some point in time, your brain goes, fuck it, bro. Let's try to figure this out, because my brain is obviously or this guy's not gonna fucking quit. And we're the brain, so I guess we're going to do what he says.
Yes, you're taking control of your own mind. You're overriding your operating system, because 90% of what you do is habit every day, but those habits could be good or bad. But you ultimately, at the end of the day, get to direct your ship. You are the captain of your own ship, and you get to choose where you're going to go. If you're going to have consistent positive habits or continue to, reinforce those bad habits. But after I get my cup of coffee, I like to go sit outside. This is typically around 7:15, 7:30 a.m. So right now in Arizona, it's like 65 degrees out. It's chilly, but it's brisk, but it's not like super cold.
That's a beautiful weather, dude.
It's great. And so I'll just sit out there and I will listen to mindset motivation for the first 30 minutes while I clear my head and just like I'll meditate, do controlled breathing in my front yard, just sitting there, not doing anything, but just priming my mind to get ready to kill the day, right? And then that's what I do as far as having a consistent morning to put me in a positive winning mindset. And then with my journal, I'll do 3 to 5 core objectives for that day that I need to check off. Like, for example, I need to clock in. I need to get on these charts for 2 hours. I need to be on my email for 2 hours, and I need to run at least 10 spreadsheets, and I need to source at least $5,000 of inventory today, right? And then I'll literally just go down the list on the planner, one at a time. Don't multitask.
Just kill them.
Because multitasking, it's scientifically proven that it does not work. If
Right.
you have two tasks that are going to take you 10 minutes each and you're trying to do them at the exact same time, it's going to take you 30 to 40 minutes to get that done, even though it really
Right.
shouldn't. So that's the path that I like to take to have the consistency in my day-to-day. Do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. Just the biggest thing for me was the meditation.
Yeah. Meditation's huge.
Meditation is like the one key to reset. It's literally a reset switch. So
Yes.
meditation would be the biggest one for me.
Yes.
And then as far as the other stuff that you touched on, like having the 4 main things that you have to get done that day, I have to do more of that. I don't do it enough. And it's not that I don't want to. The problem is that because the vision of my business is so unclear right now, I'm still getting clear on what it is that I'm going to be working to try to build. Because that's so unclear, the day-to-day is really difficult. Because like, how do you create steps for a business that you don't even?
Hold on, I lost you. Definitely think I lost you.
Yep.
All right, we're still here.
Yeah. It disconnected for some reason.
Yeah, definitely disconnected a little bit, but we're back.
I can't see your webcam.
Let me get this fixed.
All
right, we back.
Yeah, little technical difficulties. So
Okay.
What was I saying? What was the last thing you heard?
Talking about the consistency of knowing the day-to-day when you're still in the stage of like learning and building and getting your operations to consistency.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's the one biggest thing that I'm struggling with, and I've noticed because I was like really like down in the dumps, and I don't know how you are with like your friends and family, but I'm in a position right now where I don't have any support. Like I even stopped going to my therapist, which is something that I'm going to start doing again because it was actually helping me a lot. But I didn't have any support, so I started taking antidepressants. And I realized the antidepressants are actually stumping my creativity tremendously.
Yeah.
Like I used to have like these random fucking downloads that would allow me to like turn on the camera and just fucking rip. I haven't had that since I started. And I didn't notice that until yesterday. Yesterday, because I'm actually training for a half marathon with a friend of mine, and I realized that like at some point in time, I stopped having those creative like bursts. And so I'm going to talk to my psychiatrist to start tapering back off of the medication so that I can I'd rather be depressed and have those insights that are actually going to help me build a business than to not have it and just be like in a mellow state. I'd rather have those highs and lows, even if that makes me more bipolar.
Absolutely.
I have to sacrifice it as an entrepreneur.
That's great. That's a really great insight. Let's talk about haters, because that was we bounced totally over that, but that's okay. There's so much value in this conversation. I'm very excited for this. But haters, right? So little example from myself, right? I went to military school in my sophomore year of high school. So I've still got a couple of connections from military school. These people follow me on Instagram. They found me, right? This kid. So I don't know if you know, I think you do know, I bought a fake Rolex because I was doing a social media experiment. I told you about the experiment where I was tracking like performance on entrepreneurship versus entrepreneurship. And the key difference being, hey, entrepreneurship, look at me, I'm so successful, look at my life, be jealous, versus entrepreneurship, hey, this is the law of attraction. This is consistency towards your habits. Hey, this is what the process looks like. And ultimately,
I love that you did that. I love that you did that, dude.
I did it, but then like I never posted about it on socials because I got the exact result that my hypothesis proved right. My hypothesis was, the flashy rah-rah bullshit is going to way outperform the actual value I'm providing, and it did. And I was just like, this is stupid.
You know what you do to solve that problem?
What?
Clickbait titles, clickbait thumbnails, and then offer value.
Yes.
Break them in with a fucking how I afforded this Rolex by X, by doing whatever. And then they click on the video, and now it's a podcast of us just talking about success principles.
Yes.
And they're like, what the fuck? They tricked me, but also, like, there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Yes. And so where I was going with that, right? So I bought the fake Rolex so that I could have it for the fake entrepreneurship content. This kid that I have not talked to, so if I was still in college and didn't drop out, I would have graduated this year. So my sophomore year in high school was almost 7 years ago. I have not talked to this kid for 7 years. He came into my DMs and he goes, dude, you used to be posting good shit. Like I respected the value, your hustle, your grind, and now you're just one of those fakes, dude. You're fake, you're garbage, blah, blah, blah. He sent me a picture of his real Rolex, and then he literally, I have these DMs, I will show them to you. I'm not going to show them to my audience, but he literally threatened to kill me. He sent me a picture of his gun, and he's like, dude, you're such a fucking fake piece of shit. I'm literally going to find you, and I'm going to kill you. And I literally was like, dude, that's real nice, bro. Congratulations. I really hope that you have success.
Did you report that dude?
I didn't report him. No, I just moved him to my folder where I no longer get notifications from him messaging me. So I probably got a new message in there from like a couple. This was like 5 months ago, right? Probably
that
got a couple.
Seriously, fucking unhealthy, dude. That guy needs help,
dude. It was like, and what's funny, the Rolex that he showed me, bro, the Rolex that he flashed in the picture, bro. It was literally it was real. It was a real one. But it was a base model stainless steel Rolex, a blackface Rolex. I'm talking $3,500. I could buy one of those if I wanted to. I have enough money to do so, but it would not be a financially wise decision at this point.
No, you'd be doing that to like show off.
And I don't have to prove myself to anyone, right? That's not the purpose of my content. But where I'm going with this for haters, right? People that are doing less than you are going to have opinions that they are very, very eager and anxious to share with you. And Gary Vee's perspective on it, I'll let you hit on it in a second, but I just want to touch this real quick. Gary Vee's perspective is like you have to look at these haters with empathy because genuinely it's very sad that they are choosing to digest your content and then spit back negativity toward you, purposely trying to lower your vibrational frequency because they cannot admit to the fact or they refuse to, take into consideration that, hey, maybe there's someone that's actually doing better than I am and they are looking to give value to people so that they can move up the social economic ladder as well. Right. And that's just it. What's that expression? Someone doing
people
better than you?
Yeah, people above you will never be haters.
Yeah, and to be clear here, haters, okay, if someone that has what you want is in your DM saying, hey, if you did this, this, and this to better improve this, this, and this, I think you'd see more success. And that person's, in my example, a 7-8-figure Amazon seller, guess what? That is constructive criticism that could potentially add value to my life. But if someone comes in my DMs and says, you're literally a fake, bro, you don't make any money, fuck you, kill yourself, I can't, no matter how many times I read that, I can't get value out of that. It's impossible.
So I actually had that exact experience recently. There was a comment, there was an ad I saw on Instagram where there was a company promoting their shares at like $1,700 per share. And this one girl was like, she was basically thinking about investing. And I told her, I was like, this company's like a nobody. It's not making any revenue. And their shares are closely resembling the prices of Amazon and Apple. So it's not worth investing in. And this one guy comments back and actually taught me something, and I was super appreciative of that because he told me, he's like, just a tip for like future investing, whatever investing you do, companies aren't only valued at the price of their shares. There's other variables involved. And I was like, I didn't know that. Thank you, I appreciate that, and I learned something new. And it's much better that than to say, you're a fucking idiot, you don't know anything about stocks, what is your like? There's no construction there.
He came to you from a perspective of, hey, you're not wrong, but you're also not right. Here's what I know to be value. And that's way better than 99% of the internet that just literally starts throwing absolute garbage at you for no reason.
That's why it's funny. Whenever I get into the comment section with people, there's always going to be one person that comments like, wow, this is the most civilized discussion I've ever seen on fucking Instagram. Because it's like when I get into the conversation, I'm like super nice, super peaceful, and I'm going in there with the intention of either learning or teaching. There's only two things. I'm not trying to insult. I'm a troll sometimes. If I get mad, I'll fucking troll the shit out of some people.
Like the guy on the YouTube video, my giveaway video where you won the Xbox. Yeah. That guy said, this is fake, it's for views. And I left it at, all I was going to say to him was, all right, well, whatever, you can believe that. That's okay. I definitely did give an Xbox away to show appreciation to my audience. And then you came in with the left hook and you said, no, what did you even comment? You said something about like self-awareness of who's really winning here.
I basically said who's really the sadder person here, the guy that's just offering value or the guy that's coming in here to try to deteriorate something to somebody. I'm paraphrasing, but basically that.
Yeah, you slapped him with a hard left hook, and then I commented back. I was like, damn, he's not ready for that level of self-awareness. Like,
yeah, we never heard from him again.
He did not have the balls to comment again. That was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's haters. Really, genuinely, okay. If you have haters, at the end of the day, it's a good thing. 100% it is, because it actually means that you're getting in front of people that have not seen you before, and maybe they have seen you before, and they're a habitual hater. But you know what a habitual hater really is? It is a super fan. They love you. They just don't know that they love you. Right?
They're going to boost you on the algorithm.
Yeah, literally. A dislike on YouTube is the exact same thing as a like. I don't care if I have a negative dislike ratio. It does not matter. People are seeing
what they want is interactions.
Yes. And haters that, like, if someone has your post notifications on, you post something and they are the first one watching it solely so that they can literally dislike it and then leave a negative comment. It does not matter what they said to you or that they dislike your video. That's a super fan. They have your notifications on. They are very, very, very engaged in what you're posting. They're picking through what you're doing with a fine-tooth comb because they are looking for any discrepancy that they can pick apart. It's crazy, but that's just how it is.
And it's actually, like you said it yourself, it's actually a good thing because those people are going to keep you in check a lot of times. Because remember, Jordan Peterson says, again, I'm paraphrasing because like my memory's shit right now, but something along the lines of watch what your enemies say because your enemies are going to be revealing some truths to you.
Yes.
They're not getting triggered for no reason. It's either a truth that they haven't come to understand that you are, which is like a projection on their part, or it's something that they're accurately assessing that you're not paying attention to. And then you can use that constructive criticism. And you have to get good at finding that constructive criticism from your haters.
Yes.
So ultimately, it's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. And when you do get to the point, now a lot of the examples we're sharing are correlated to entrepreneurship because we're both entrepreneurs. But again, this can correlate to anything, literally whatever you're pursuing. But when you have these haters, right, in entrepreneurship specifically, once you've developed to the point where you now have the material success, I have the mansion, I have a Lamborghini, I have students that are making 6-7 figures, and now I have the proof in the pudding, right? At that point, those people that have been hating the whole time, not only are they going to convert actively from a habitual hater to I'm a super fan, I've been following this guy from day one. Not only are they going to change their perspective right there, but you're going to change their mindset because this whole time that they were hating on you, it was because of their limiting beliefs. I don't believe that this is possible. This guy's trying to show me in front of my face that he's going to do it. I don't believe him. As soon as you do it, they switch from that mentality to, wait a second, he really did do it. His life was here, and now it's here. What am I missing here?
I would say that they have the potential of switching over. But there's still going to be those people that are like, there's no way that he did that. And then they stay in that same exact mindset.
I plead the fifth. All right, no. But
carry on.
yeah. Next. So I want to talk on the 4 stages of learning because it actually goes in really well with what you just said, right? So the 4 stages of learning listed off in order are unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. To break those all down individually, unconscious incompetence literally just means you do not know what you do not know. There's information out there, has never been introduced to you. You don't know that it's even a thing. And therefore, how could you be an expert in it if you have no idea that it's even a thing at all? Like, if I were to tell you there is a $6.6 trillion liquid market per day called the foreign exchange market that is literally currencies correlating between each other that you can invest in daily. A lot of people would go, no, that's a scam. That number is way too big. I can't believe that. And they will never progress past unconscious incompetence, not understanding that there's information out there that they don't know about. However, some people will progress now to the next stage, which is conscious incompetence. They are now aware of the fact that there's information out there that they don't know, right? Now, stage 3 is actually...
can I say something on unconscious incompetence?
Yeah, go ahead.
There is a So one of the things that I realized, like when people tell you like what are you gonna do with your life and like finding your purpose, whether it be going to college and getting a degree in something that you genuinely find interesting. I talked to my buddy yesterday about this. A lot of the things that we're trying to find, we don't know what's available. My buddy, for example, he's trying to get into like the Central Intelligence Agency, and he's doing like political science.
Mm-hmm.
He now understands more of what fields are available because he's been in it longer. In the beginning, he had no idea what he was getting into.
Yes.
So you can't really know until you actually advance to that next stage what it is that you want. And the reason I'm saying that is in case people don't know what they want to do, no matter the age, whether you're 65, maybe not 65 you're screwed. I'm kidding, obviously. No matter what age you're in, and you haven't found your purpose, you have to keep trying new things. If you spent the last 30 years working a job and you never tried new things, you're fucked. You are essentially reinforcing that one way of thinking and that one way of life, and then you're gonna fall into that. And at a certain point, it becomes too difficult to fucking pull yourself out.
That's where regret comes from too, because later down the road, they retire and now they realize, hey, I've got $25,000 to live off of for the rest of until I die. Then they start feeling regret because they go, hey, back during NOM, right? I could have done this thing that would have made me X amount of dollars, and I would have been self-sufficient to the point that I could have gone and built a business, done this, and they'll start.
Understand. Yeah.
They'll literally start going back into the past and creating all these branch realities of this could have been here, and then now at this age I would be here instead of here, and that whole mentality, that whole perspective right there, that's just all wrong. It's just
what I don't understand is the hypocrisy where they're experiencing that reality, and then they have the nerve to tell you to go do the exact step that they did. Because I'm like, are you really missing the pattern here? You fucking worked the job for 40 years. You're miserable. You're about to retire. And now you're telling me to do the same thing?
Yeah.
Like, what? Where's the fucking... Come on, make a connection, dude.
It doesn't make any sense. And you're not going to be able to process that to them because the concept doesn't make sense to them that there is the other way. Yeah,
I've tried. It's very difficult.
It's a waste of energy and effort to try and switch someone's perspective that's just so closed-minded. You can't even explain it to them.
Unfortunately, I'm never going to stop, though. I don't have a choice. Like when I feel someone that I could potentially convert into a new way of thinking, I have to try. I can't not try.
When someone tells me a self-limiting belief that they have, not necessarily like projecting it onto me and telling me that I can't do something, but when they say something like I can't do that, I'm literally like, what do you mean? What do you mean you can't do it? Tell me why. Yeah. And they never. All you
tell them is listen to how you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, you just told me that you can't do anything, but I guarantee you can do it. You just literally have cut yourself off from the opportunity of even attempting to be able to do it because before you started, you said, "Nope, not me. I'm not. I'm not smart enough for that."
You go in with you're predisposed, the predisposition to believe that you can't actually do it because you've already made that as the one paradigm that you're operating in. Rich Dad Poor Dad actually talks about that in his book about how you have one person that says I can't afford that, another person that says how can I afford that?
It's a different question, you get a different answer. Yeah. Absolutely. The biggest limiting belief that I hear so often, because I post on Instagram and Snapchat about Forex and Amazon, what I'm doing, I get more than anything else, people tell me I'm not smart enough for that. That's literally the word for word what I get told more than anything else. And it just pisses me off so much because that doesn't make sense. You are as smart as you choose to believe that you are based on the work ethic that you're putting in, right? Yeah, and a lot of people have that negative limiting belief because of the education system. Unfortunately, what is that Albert Einstein quote? If you judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree, it'll live its entire life thinking it's stupid, which is absolutely fact, and
which is actually one thing that comes up for me, which is actually like something that I fell prey to for a really long time, was that I noticed like when I was a little kid, I was in my room and I overheard my brother and my mom talking about how like they actually thought that I was like kind of stupid. And like kind of like mentally slow. And I don't blame them now because I realized I was acting stupid and I've always been a goofball in the way that I was operating. But there was something about me afterwards as I've gone back and I've gone to therapy and like reprocessed those emotions. I realized one of the reasons that happened was because my mom, my Spanish, I speak at like a second grade level. So I can't really communicate these amazing ideas and all these insightful things that I was like thinking about for a long time to my parents, to my mom, because of the fact that in Spanish my vocabulary is literally that of a second grader,
Yeah.
2-year-olds.
100%. I feel you there. We have so many things to talk about. We've gone so far off topic, but
let's wrap it up in about 10 minutes. I'm hungry.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The third stage of learning, which is actually where learning actually occurs. Okay, you don't learn shit until you get to the third stage, which is conscious competence. That is, you are consciously consuming information that is new to you in order to get that to go from incompetence to competence. You are consciously becoming aware that you're incompetent on this subject, but you're learning it so that you become competent.
What is competent and incompetent? Can you define it?
Okay, so competence is being well versed in subject matter, any specific thing, right? Like, I'm not competent in rocket science. I cannot have a conversation with you about rocket science. I would not know where to begin. I wouldn't have any influence at all.
Astrophysics either.
Correct. Yeah, no, that's just not, like, if I was speaking with Neil deGrasse Tyson right now, I would not be able to converse with him on a level that he would view me as an authoritative figure in any field of science at all. But if we're talking about how to sell name brand products on Amazon with no advertising budget, I personally am extremely versed and competent in that subject because it is something I'm a practitioner of and I can educate on because I do it myself. Right?
Gary Vee talks about that, about how like you put him in the room with somebody else that has an entirely different field, and he's going to sound like an idiot just because he doesn't know.
Yeah, it's not your field of expertise, and people that are really doing it, like Gary Vee, they don't try to make themselves seem like this all pretentious figure that just knows everything about anything, that's going to give guidance on things. If you listen to a lot of Gary Vee's content, which I mean, I got my positivity and optimisms on right now. He says a lot of the same stuff because his driving force and his mission. It's all based around the few key principles that are genuinely authentic and helpful to the people that are resonating with his content, right? But he's definitely not going to tell you to, he's not going to give you specific guidance on how to build a rocket, right? That's not what he does. And then to touch up here, the fourth stage, unconscious competence. This is where you've been in stage 3 for long enough. You've been divulging this information now so that now you are competent on this information unconsciously because you've now done this information for so long. It is habitual to you. It is part of your subconscious mind. And you can literally, if someone asked me a specific question about Amazon, without even engaging my active consciousness, I could go, boom, ramble on and give you the answer without really being aware that I'm literally giving you the answer right away because it's just it's part of my unconscious mind.
Damn, dude, you just connected a mass. I didn't even know that. I've always known about the subconscious mind, but now that you say that, when somebody asks me a marketing question and I'm helping my uncle or another person that I'm helping with their business,
boom, spat it out.
I've always wondered, where is this information coming from? And that makes sense. It's literally from my subconscious mind. That's insane. Yes. Crazy that our brains does that.
But it takes you to the fourth stage to actually get to that level. You don't get to that level until you're proficient and built up in that skill set. Marketing, entrepreneurship, being the best ballerina on the planet. I don't care, really, genuinely. It doesn't matter.
Do you think do you think it's possible to just jump straight to the third stage, the conscious incompetent, and just assume that you suck at everything? Isn't that a cheat code?
I don't think it's possible because here's the thing. So if you're not willing to accept...
Oh, wait, never mind. That's kind of a contradiction, and it's a paradox because even if you skip to the third stage, by definition, prior to that, you were already in this.
You went through 1 and 2, yeah. And so the only thing that could stem off of what you just said is if someone is unable is not the right word. If someone's unwilling to admit to the fact that there is information that they're not competent on, that they don't know about, they'll never move past stage 1, but therefore they'll never touch or see stage 3 because they won't identify and acknowledge their problems, whether it's problem of not having lack of knowledge or whether it's an emotional problem, whatever the problem is. If they will not acknowledge it first, they cannot move through the stages to grow and fix and develop it because the first stage is becoming aware of the fact of the information that is the proper way to do something that you don't currently know.
Right.
Yeah, and then to finish up here, because we're We're already way over, but that's totally okay.
Yes.
The 4 things that stop you from starting entrepreneurship, or not necessarily entrepreneurship, because I don't want to exclude. I know not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur, but the 4 things stopping you from pursuing your higher purpose and your potential, whatever it is that you choose to go after. Yes, your vision. Right. I've broken it into 4 categories that we'll touch on each briefly, but it's fear of failure / success, fear of judgment, consistency and work ethic, and then lack of specialized knowledge. It really breaks down to those 4 things. Let's touch on fear of failure and fear of success. What do you have to say about fear of failure or fear of success?
Fear of failure and fear of success. You want to take this one? You want to start off? I usually do a little better when you ramble, and then I kind of come in.
I'll take it. So fear of failure, right? Fear of failure, it's something I dealt with at first. When I was first buying my first LLC, buying the formation paperwork, it was the scariest feeling ever because I was jumping into the unknown, and then your mind starts rambling off all these negative perspective thoughts. Oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Every time your mind goes on one of these alternate branches of consciousness, you're experiencing the pain of that failure before it even happens. Fear it literally means false evidence appearing real. That's what it is, right? And so fear is fear of failure. Failure in and of itself is not final. Failure is final if you give up, if you quit.
Right.
But failure happens. Failure is actually a stepping stone to success, because if you never fail, how do you know how to do it right? Like, even if you know how to do it right and you're doing it right, somewhere along the line, some extenuating circumstance is going to slap you in the face and you're going to fail. And guess what? It's going to suck. It's going to sting. It depending on your circumstance. Like me, for example, I had a intellectual property claims in 2019 that cost me $25,000 in opportunity cost, not hard cost, but opportunity cost. That sucked. It was really painful. But at the end of the day, it was a learning experience. It didn't sink my ship, and I'm better for it. But that's because that's the perspective I choose, right? And then fear of success. Fear of success comes down to basically you have a limiting belief that you believe the people around you, if you do this and say your consciousness is optimistic instead of pessimistic, and you say, hey, I'm going to do this, and what happens when I become successful? And then your brain opens this can of worms of, my friends are going to think I'm greedy. They're not going to want to hang out with me because they're going to think I'm snooty, rich, and arrogant. My closest friends and family, they're gonna excommunicate me because they think I just care about money. Blah blah blah. You're gonna.
Or one thing that comes up for me is like, well, I actually had this fear very very intensely, where I was worried if I become rich, people are gonna start coming to me for handouts, and I don't really believe in handouts. If it's a close family member that needs help, I'll help them, but I don't believe in like lending out money. And that was like something that I was battling like heavily. I was like, I kept self-sabotaging myself because I didn't want to succeed and have to go through the situation of people coming to me for money.
Yes, and that I get that 100%. I absolutely get that. People already come to me for money, and I literally tell them, I'm sorry, like I'm in the situation I am now because of the choices I made, and like I get that you're in a financially difficult situation. I'd love to give you guidance on it, but my guidance is going to come from a perspective of love and looking out for you, but not a perspective of let me fix your problems. Because guess what? Nobody did that for me. All right. So that. Go ahead.
Huh?
Oh no.
I was saying absolutely.
All right. Fear of judgment is the next one. This goes back in line with haters and stuff. People ultimately at the end of the day, people just put too much value on other people's opinions. Like I said earlier, opinions are like assholes. They all stink and everybody has them. People are going to be very, very eager when you start living your most abundant, fulfilled self. People are going to be so eager to share their opinions with you. And most of those people that are sharing their opinions, yes, you'll get the occasional successful person that's going to DM you and say, hey, I've seen you. You're making moves. Really good for you. Congratulations. Keep up the work. That's going to be way, way, way more rare than the schmuck with 2 followers that gets in your DMs and says, screw you, go kill yourself. You're an idiot, right? But the thing is, you need with fear of judgment. I don't even have any direct value that I can give to people for this. Hopefully you do. But like for me, at least, it comes down to just not giving value to that person's perspective, because from my ideal reality and from what Gary V's taught me, like that person's just not in the circumstance that I'm in. And while I feel bad for them, I can't do anything to alter their perspective because they're going to keep thinking that until I show them otherwise. And it's not my responsibility to show them otherwise. It's going to happen eventually, but I don't need to do it to prove it to them. I need to do it to prove it to myself. Ultimately, at the end of the day, people's judgment on you, what people say about you does not matter as long as it holds no validity, right? Like if someone says you're a murderer and you're actually a murderer, like that's probably kind of a problem.
That's constructive criticism.
Yeah, no, easily. But like what matters is what you say about yourself. And it's a huge key to not let haters' perspectives and judgment on you reflect back on your own self-image of yourself. Because if you're getting all this hate, it doesn't matter at the end of the day if you're still in a positive framework and you know in your own heart that, hey, I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right things, I know I'm progressing, I'm moving forward. This is just now.
Right. I have so there's two trains of thought that come up for me. I'm probably going to lose the second one as I explain the first one because the first one's kind of complex. But it's like from a spiritual perspective, because I'm not very religious, but I am spiritual. Mm-hmm. One thing that comes up for me is karma. When you see people suffering, one of the Hinduist beliefs in regards to karma, and I'm paraphrasing this because I'm not an expert on fucking Hinduism, but one of the things that I know from like listening to a psychiatrist that I watch is that person's karma, you're not responsible for solving that person's karma, because that person's karma is coming from a previous action that they took that either had a negative effect towards another or a positive effect. Good karma is good karma. Bad karma is bad things that are happening to that person. So potentially that person has to go through it. And if you try to actually pull them out of it, some people have the belief that that's actually a negative thing, which is going to come back as negative karma for you. So yes. I believe that if you feel inclined to help them, offer them guidance and like tell them some stuff if they're open to it. But if you feel like they're coming at it from the frame of they're trying to change your mind, and you know for a fact that their beliefs are like beliefs that you don't want to take on, then it's better to just let them go and not feel bad about it, because you have your own life. You know, we're sovereign individuals. We have our own lives that we're in charge of, and we're not responsible for anybody else's life.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so that's one thing as far as the self-doubt goes. There was another thing, but I lost it. Hopefully it'll come back to me in a second if you just want to wrap off for a second. All
right. The next one that I'll touch into, and if you get that back, we'll move back on it. Consistency and work ethic. Okay, this one, I can't teach you this, and I can't give you value on this at all, because this comes down to you. And also it comes down to, like, what are you putting work into, and like what's the input going in, what's the output coming out? Because if you don't have the passion for what you're doing, you're never going to be able to have the consistent work ethic and the consistency to get you to where you're going. So you need to fall in love with the process of becoming the higher version of yourself as opposed to the results. If you're idealizing the results, you're programming lack into your mind. You're saying, hey, I do not have this now, which means you're never going to get it. Like me, I'm going after a fleet of exotic cars and I want to be a big YouTuber. It's already done in my mind because I know I'm putting the work in. It's just reality hasn't caught up yet. But I know it's already done, and I can say that 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt, because I will not stop until it is truly done and reality has caught up to where I see myself in my mind. There's the thought of quitting. That's not a word in my vocabulary. Okay. And so like work ethic, I can't teach you your own work ethic. You have to figure out what works for you. Okay, some people like Gary Vee and like me, right? Some people are okay with working 12, 15-hour days, not having a social life, just focused on personal growth and development. That works for some people, and that's okay. Also, some other people, it works for them. They're doing 4 or 5-hour days on their personal journey, and that's all the time they're looking to invest in it. Now, you need to be aware that, you know, your input affects your output. So if you're putting in 12, 15 hours, you're going to get different results annually than if you're putting 4 or 5 hours in, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's okay. Both of them are great. Both of them are fantastic. It's your personal choice.
It's not that they're great. I would say it's neutral. There is no positive or negative to it. It's all super individualistic.
There's no right. There's only right for you.
Dude, you look like the Buddha for a second. There's like a spot on your forehead on the.
It's just going to be hard to wipe that off because, like, we got problems.
There you go.
All right, perfect. All right, last one. Lack of specialized knowledge.
Yeah. Here, I have something to touch on the work ethic.
Work ethic.
So So yeah, I pulled out my notepad because I realized I'm going to keep forgetting if I don't fucking write them down. The first thing that comes to mind is that what you were saying about becoming a YouTuber, having the exotic fleet of cars, all those things are awesome. And it's also okay if 2 years down the line you decide that you don't want that, because it's based on the individual. There's no external influence that has to do with what you want.
Correct.
If you want to, in 2 years, decide that you want to go live in the forest and become a hermit, people are going to talk because people fucking talk all the time. It doesn't matter what it is that they say. Just let that shit go and realize that that's going to be based on you changing your mind. And I think that has more to do with the self-doubt than the work ethic. As far as the work ethic goes, the one thing that comes to mind is what we talked about before we started recording about David Goggins, about how it's a process of developing discipline. And most people are not going to be able to work, and I think it's unrealistic to expect them to work 15-hour days right out of the bat if they've been smoking weed every day and not fucking working at all. To go from that to the next extreme, they're just setting themselves up for failure, in my opinion. And
Yes.
failure in the negative sense, because there's positive failure and there's negative failure. You want to try to, if you can, you want to try to the best of your ability to avoid the failure, but you also have to be okay with failure at the same time.
Yes.
So developing discipline is a process. Like, I don't work 15-hour days just because I come from a background of just sitting on my ass all day and playing video games all day. So
Yeah.
I'll have 1 or 2 things that I want to get done, and then when I have those spurts of inspiration, which come frequently for me because I just love reading and shit, I'll just read and watch videos of motivation, and those things get me fired up.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of realizing it's a process. It's not going to come to you naturally, and that's perfectly okay.
Absolutely.
And on an individual basis. It has nothing to do with what Jacob or I say. It has to do with you.
Yes. That's so good. And then the last one, lack of specialized knowledge. This comes down, it kind of goes back to the 4 stages of learning, but it's also kind of its own thing. Specialized knowledge. Okay, look, you can sell on Amazon. You can sell on Shopify. You can sell on eBay. You can do social media marketing. You can do regular marketing for someone. You can open a restaurant and then franchise it and open up 55 million chains over the next 30 years. And or you can be a real estate mogul, or you can be an oil lord. The opportunity is limitless, but without having the specialized knowledge to know what you're getting into, how are you gonna even be where you ultimately see yourself 5, 10, 15 years down the road if you can't even get past day one,
Right.
And so you want to seek knowledge, but you want to seek knowledge from credible sources, which are rare. That's why there's the stigma of course sellers and they're all being scammed, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Right.
there's legit courses out there. You're just not looking in the right place, or you're idealizing people on Instagram that have massive audiences and they look successful and they have a $5,000 course. And obviously it's legit because they have a Lamborghini and 400,000 followers. So obviously it's legit, right? No. And so that's just how that is. Do you have anything to add on lack of specialized knowledge?
Yeah, it falls into in psychology they call it the halo effect, where because you see this person has all these things and they're in a position of power, a lot of people, it's almost human nature to be most of us are programmed to be followers. So when we see somebody in that position, we almost start believing them just because we want to believe them and we want to believe that that's true. That's kind of how cults are formed.
Yes.
And so I would say the only real way to combat that is to do extensive research on shit that you're going to be buying, and peer-reviewed reviews.
Yes.
Like reviews by other people that purchased the course, and seeing whether or not it's actually worth it, and making sure that those reviews are legit.
Yes, and to touch on it, I know we said it probably 3 or 4 times throughout the episode, but that idealizing people that are successful, I promise you that I can't put a direct statistic on it, but like 99%, maybe even 99.9% of those internet entrepreneurs, I promise you, okay, they're renting Lamborghinis, they're taking like 7 or 8 pictures with that Lambo. They are changing their clothes so that they can have a picture with the Lambo and it looks like it was done on a different day, okay? What I'm telling you is a lot of these people, they are not successful at all. They are so far from it. You could potentially be in a better financial circumstance than them, but they bought followers.
They're teaching you to sell courses, or they're selling you a course teaching you how to sell courses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. That is a big problem.
Yeah.
And don't get stuck in that loop because it's just not fun. And with all that negativity being stated, I still hold to the fact that there are legit courses out there that you can actually
I
pay
paid
for.
$600 for the digital marketing agency course, and it's taught me so. Like the first, literally, I'm only like 12% done with it, and I've learned so fucking much.
That's
I
lit.
can't even what else is going to be in there. So there's definitely don't be afraid of investing in courses after you've done your research and make sure that those courses are coming from somebody. And also find somebody that's giving the majority of the information away for free. Yeah. Because the guy that I purchased from, Serial Entrepreneur, he actually all his videos, like he basically teaches you how to do it for free, but then the course gives you a structured way of actually absorbing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's where the value comes from. But a lot of these videos, if you spend the time, you're going to be able to get a lot of the information for free. If somebody doesn't want to give you information for free, that person is lying.
They don't know shit.
In my opinion.
They don't know
that person is hiding something. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then so that's the 4 things stopping you. The last thing that I added while we were talking that I wanted to touch on here was just forging.
You said the last thing 4 times.
Oh no, I know. So many, dude. I'm gonna watch this back and I'm gonna be like, wow, I'm gonna be taking notes on the conversation we had. Like, dang, this is valuable.
Yeah.
So being in an abundance mindset and creating that, right? To give you more perspective on my circumstance, I don't pay myself from any of my businesses, and I have not had a W-2 income since 2017. Okay. I personally, Jacob Livingood, I have less than $1,000 to my name, but my businesses are flourishing. It is a weird dynamic and dichotomy to explain to people that aren't in business,
right.
But it actually does make sense.
That makes perfect sense, but it makes sense to you because I'm in it. Yeah.
It makes sense to you, yes, absolutely. So I'm broke, but I don't have to be broke. I'm optionally broke, and I'm going to make a video totally going into delayed gratification and explaining that. But talking about a giving mindset and abundance mindset, right? So like I gave away that Xbox on socials. You won that, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And so like that Xbox, that came from my business's pocket, not my pocket. But also at the same time, if I had wanted to sell that on Facebook Marketplace for $150, $175 cash, I could have got that in my pocket. However, I chose to leverage it to show appreciation to my audience because that's something that I can do given my mindset of abundance where I'm at, right? Another little example that I want to share, right? I went to Decadence 2019 as a professional glover, which was a major accomplishment and achievement for me. But so I met this girl there. She was a glover. She'd only been gloving for 3 months. She was good for 3 months. She just was not as good as me, which is, I mean, it's not fair to compare her to me because I've been gloving two years and I'm a professional. But she was good. She does other flow forms. So she was really good at gloving, and we labbed for a little bit and just traded stuff, and I was giving her some value, right? She walked away to go like see her friends or whatever, and she left her gloves on the ground, and someone came over and stole them. And like I watched this happen with my own 2 eyes. But I'm not going to lie, I was a little not in a clear headspace at the time. And so my reaction speed and processing speed was quite a bit slower than it probably should have been. So I literally just watched this guy steal her gloves off the ground and didn't react until he was gone out of sight. And I was like, wait a second, what just happened? She came back. She was very visibly upset. Now, mind you, this whole story, I met this girl like 8 minutes ago. 8 to 10 minutes ago. I felt so bad and resonated with that circumstance because I've been in the situation where I've lost my gloves before that I told her, look, I'm going to give you a pair of my backup gloves. The next day I met with her, not at the rave. I went and met her, and the only gloves that I had that were backup gloves were my backup pair of Spectras, which are $155 Bluetooth gloves. I gave them to her, 1, because I'm a man of my word. I told her I was going to, and 2, I have another pair, so it's really not that big of a deal. But at the same time, I don't have an income. I do not pay myself. I'm living in scarcity on purpose, by the way, and it's structured, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm still in this abundance mindset where I'm giving out because, 1, it's like you touched on karma. It's putting good vibrations into the universe that will come back and manifest to you 100%. But at the same time, I could have a greedy mindset of, no, all this stuff like these Xboxes that I'm getting, I'm selling these for a profit so I can make this. These gloves, these are mine. They're expensive. I paid for them. But that's not how I choose to take it, because even though I'm not at the point yet where financially it makes no sense for me to be giving all this stuff away. It does not make any sense. I should be selling this so that I have money to survive and eat. But I choose.
It's just like Gary Vee. Gary Vee says he's leaving a shit ton of money on the table.
No, absolutely, and it's all your personal bias and your perspective of how you want to be perceived and stuff. Like I absolutely could make quite a bit more money. If I stopped posting and putting as much effort into social media that I do, I could scale my business quite a bit further than I've managed to scale it in the last year and 9 months. But I aspire to scale it up alongside social media and show my growth and development on socials so that I can give, inspiration to someone that's in their process trying to do the same thing, maybe in a different niche, but also trying to grow and develop themselves. And so even though that is in the micro, that's causing me a impasse, in the macro, it just adds to my vision. And so that's that. That's really all I wanted to touch on there.
Yeah, so we'll wrap this up now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta go. My stomach's grumbling.
Definitely. I had that.
I wanted to mention this. I actually didn't even mention this to you before. I have a course that I'm selling for $999. If anybody's interested, I'm actually going to be
teaching how to breathe oxygen.
I'm guaranteeing you $1 million by the end of the first quarter of 2020. Guaranteed. There's no.
I'll buy it all day.
I'm gonna put my PayPal in Jacob's description.
Nice.
I was trying to keep a straight face, but I couldn't.
It doesn't work, bro. But yeah, look, we are at. I don't even know. I'm not going to check the time because it's probably a scary number. Look, probably. There was a lot of value in here. We
started at 2:05.
Right. So much value in this conversation. And I'm really glad that we had this conversation. I'm going to probably have to break it down into segments and put the timestamps.
I was going to say timestamps
into the description. Yeah. 100%. Look, if you stuck around for the whole thing, like the video because that really supports me and it helps me grow and the YouTube algorithm. Like the video. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. And if you're not subscribed already, hey, I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe, and we're going to be posting consistent content this year. It's already done. I'm forcing myself to do it. I'm very blessed for the audience that I have already, and I'm so excited for the future. Thank you, Gabriel, for coming on and having this discussion with me.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come and get it.